Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fast Money Football. I'm your host, Albert Vartanian. I'm joined by Sara Poraria today of the Parlay, my co-host, my colleague on the show. And once again, Sara, we got it wrong when it comes to the Champions League. We can't seem to figure it out. We're doing pretty well everywhere else. Europa League, we're not too bad. The Premier League, but the Champions League, very, very difficult to predict these games. And it's because once we get into the knockout stages, it's so tough. We see teams doing things that they haven't normally done all season. Atletico Madrid. They haven't been the same side that we've seen in the past that set up defensively and frustrated teams and kept clean sheets. Well, they did that last night in Manchester at Old Trafford. They shut out Manchester United 1-0 to go through 2-1 on aggregate to the next round of the Champions League. And you know what? If you watch everything going on in the UK, all the radio shows, all the pundits and the post-match, they're talking about United and how bad they were. Once again, it's the same old story. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson, not the same players. They don't have any leaders. Harry Maguire, yada, yada, yada. But I didn't hear anything about how good Atletico Madrid were. They wanted that first goal. And we talked about it yesterday on the show, how that first goal was so important. They got the first goal in the first half, and then they just shut it down in the second half. That whole team turned into Diego Simeone. It was fantastic to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I stayed away from a winner yesterday because I couldn't pick this to save my life. And as we saw, like Atletico won and it was probably the upset, right? But I don't know. The first half they played a lot better. They were pressing. Kenan Lodi's goal was fantastic, but
Oh, yeah.
in my opinion, in the second half, both teams looked poor. Like, I don't think if either of these teams played like this, whoever they get in the next round, they're going to beat. Atletico won, and they did, like you said, they shut it down. That was their main goal, and they did that. But they didn't look promising. Joao Felix was losing the ball left, right, and center. And I don't know. I am still a little bit worried about this team. I'm happy they went through. I think it's great for them, but I'm really hoping they can take this and turn it around because they did not look promising either. I just think Manchester was like the worst of two teams.
See, I thought Atleti looked good in the second half. That was their game plan, was to shut them down, smart fouls, hard tackles, lay on the ground, time waste, the dark arts, the things that we're used to seeing. In a knockout competition, that's huge, and that's exactly what they did. If they come up against a better team, an informed team with an actual plan, they're going to be in trouble, definitely.
Mhm.
But I think they figured out, listen, if we get a goal here, this team struggles to break down teams. And that's exactly what they did. They sat back, they soaked up the pressure. I mean, they would have liked another goal, but like you mentioned, they didn't really have an out ball up front with Felix or Griezmann because
Mhm.
they controlled it as much as they could, but they lost it a lot. When
Mhm.
it comes to Manchester United, when they go up against a team like that, they struggle. I mean, we saw them play against Spurs. Spurs aren't a good defensive team at the moment. They cut them right open. So I think Diego Simeone saw that and he realized this is what we need to do. And now they're through. I thought there were some interesting points throughout this matchup. When Maguire was substituted, the captain of Manchester United was booed by the home fans. And I thought that was telling. I mean, that's got to be really difficult for Maguire to take. How do you bounce back from something like that?
I mean, the thing is, he's been playing poorly for quite a while now. This entire season, we haven't really seen him, 100%. And I think fans are frustrated because there have been several times where there have been goals against United, and it comes down to Maguire making a mistake. He's so stagnant. He's not quick. He's can't move around. And like you saw it yesterday too, not only when he got subbed off, but when they got scored on, him, Ronaldo, and Fernandez were going at it on the pitch, and just seeing the team kind of falling apart. It's not good. It's not good for United right now. It's definitely not good.
Cristiano Ronaldo didn't have an impact in that game. We thought he would coming up after that hat trick against Spurs, but he was just kind of nowhere to be seen. And I don't think that's necessarily completely on him. There was no service. They couldn't really control the ball as much as they wanted to. I thought Fred was fantastic. Once again, McTominay looked pretty good. But other than that, I thought it was an all-around poor performance. Rashford, man, I don't know what's happening with that player, but he's lost his confidence completely. I thought Jadon Sancho was pretty good. They just really couldn't create anything. And for
Mhm.
the first time in a long time, Cristiano Ronaldo is not going to win a trophy. For Manchester United, this is the sixth year in a row they're going to have zero silverware. They might not even make top four. So this can go down as one of the worst seasons for United in quite some time, and that's saying something considering how poor they've been over the years. But by the way, Ronaldo did break another record though. He did this. Most UCL minutes played, most Champions League minutes played ever. So even if he doesn't score, doesn't affect the game at all, the guy's still breaking records.
There you go. Yeah, no, I mean, this is his tournament. Like, it's sad to see. I saw yesterday that, Messi and Ronaldo are out in the round of 16. And it is kind of like we really are hitting that point where the era is turning and it's kind of finishing. And, we have the rivalries and we can say what we want, but at the end of the day, it is sad. It is a sad time, I feel. Like I'm sad.
It's coming to an end of an era, but this happens, every decade or so where the legends of the past start to dwindle down a little bit. And I still think they have a lot to offer when we're talking about, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. These are two players I think who still have a lot to offer. We might see even more. I mean, if Messi decides to go back to Barcelona, that's a fantastic story. And I think he can really help him. But anyway, let's move on. Benfica, how about that one? Shocking Ajax in Amsterdam, 1-0. Darwin Nunez, the Uruguayan, with the goal to win that game. We had both teams to score and over 2.5. I think we also had Ajax to win. I mean, they're just a better team. I mean, up until that point, they've scored 77 goals in like 26 games. They don't get one at home against Benfica. Fantastic game plan. And I have to knock us a little bit, Sarah, because when we previewed the first leg of that matchup, we laughed at the front three of Ajax going up against Nicolas Otamendi and Jan Vertonghen. Those two were fantastic yesterday.
Yeah, no, I will I'll eat my words. It was definitely me who said it. I think something
we
along
just,
the lines
we got to take it,
going up against these old men. No, truly, Benfica just looked like the better team. Even in the first leg as well, they looked like extremely composed, extremely put together. Although I will say I'm extremely surprised that Ajax couldn't even score. And this is what we were talking about yesterday, I think, off air, is with tournaments, you cannot predict what's going to happen because if one team has just, they're having an off day, can change everything. And I think that's
knockout
what
football
happened
is
to Ajax.
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Ajax struggle. I think we're still going to see Ajax winning the Eredivisie. I know they're only 3 points above PSV Eindhoven, but I still expect to see this team perform. I think they were just having a bad day, and Benfica, took advantage of it. Good for them, but it's so difficult sometimes predicting what's going to happen in tournament style games.
Yeah, that first goal in these knockouts seems to be big because that lets teams. It obviously depends on the aggregate and what's going on there. But I mean, if it's even with no away goal, that first goal is huge because then, especially if you're an away team, you get that first goal, you can just sit back, and try and crush the game and kill the game. And that's exactly what Atleti did, and that's what Benfica did. Ajax did have a lot of chances in the first half, and Benfica were fortunate to go into halftime 0-0. But yes, they go through along with Atletico Madrid. And we were touching on Maguire, but speaking of him, there was this research done on happiness of players. So researchers at Toner Giant applied an AI motion recognition analysis tool to footballers' Instagram accounts, running their photos through a machine to work out if they looked happy or sad during the 21-22 season. Apparently, Maguire was deemed to be the most downbeat player analyzed with a happiness level in photos of him scoring 23.4 out of 100. No surprise there. Can you guess the happiest club in Premier League? According to this.
Liverpool.
No, they're actually one of the most downbeat teams. Manchester City, obviously. 52.7 out of 100 on the happiness scale on their pictures. I mean, if you're winning every game, winning trophies every single season, what's there to be upset about?
I guess. I feel like Liverpool has been doing like a decent job though, and they also work a lot harder. They didn't buy all their players. I don't know. For some reason, I just thought maybe it would be them. Wow.
This is just so random based on their Instagram accounts. So, what thing is with if you're using Instagram pictures, some of these footballers. I mean, I'm probably guilty for it too. Sometimes you have like the cool pose where you like drop an eyebrow or something. So if you're getting that analyzed, it looks like you're mad, but really inside you're happy. You're just trying to be Johnny Cool Guy on Instagram. But anyway, speaking of a cool guy, one of the coolest guys, one of the coolest footballers to ever play the game, Ronaldinho was inducted into the World Soccer Hall of Fame. This guy won everything, Sarah. World Cup, Copa America, Champions League, Ballon d'Or. He's done it all. And so it's amazing that he's being recognized as one of the best players of all time. He already has been, but now it's official in terms of the World Soccer Hall of Fame. I'm sure you have good memories of him being a Barcelona fan.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. He was one of the first players for me that I started watching when I was really young. And remember looking at this guy and saying, nobody does what this guy does. Not only does he do it with such finesse, but he does it with a smile on his face. Like he was so cool. And there's never been a football player like him, even since, he had this amazing skill and talent and just, happiness kind of around him. And I will I will never forget the things he did at Barcelona. It was amazing. He changed football, really, in my opinion, all around, especially for Brazil too.
One of my favorite players of all time. Also inducted with him, Raul of Real Madrid, Fabio Cannavaro, and Roberto Carlos. I mean, that's pretty good company. Time to get into the games, Sarah. We have 4 massive games, 2 in the Premier League, 1 between Arsenal and Liverpool we'll get to at the end of the show. But first, 2 Champions League matchups. Let's start with Juventus Villarreal. Juventus plus 105 and Villarreal is the dog. Draw is plus 230. The first leg in this one ended 1-1. Dusan Vlahovic. How about this one? First Champions League game scores under the first minute. And then Danny Pereira in the second half scored the goal to make it 1-1. It was actually a pretty good game. A little dull. It was 2 very defensive teams going up against each other. I think we should probably expect the same in this second leg. I mean, at home to Juventus is really good at home. I just expect another tight affair, just like we seen yesterday with those 2 matches.
Yeah, I think this is going to be tactical. It's going to be very tactical. I think Villarreal were able to read that with Juve in the first half, and that's why they also kind of played, holding the back really tight, because Juve is like this. Most Italian teams are like this. So I think they matched them very well, but that's why I stayed away from a winner in this game, because I don't think this game could go either way so quickly. I think it's going to be very telling who scores first. I think that could change it. You mentioned that actually just now. Like the first team who scores, it tends to, change the entire game and, plays to the winner. But yeah, I don't know. I think Unai Emery did a great job at reading Juve, and, this team did. And I'm expecting them to kind of do the same. And I think it's going to be a run to see who can score first.
So you mentioned Unai Emery. The guy has 4 Europa League titles, 1 with Villarreal, which was their first. I mean, he knows how to obviously win these knockout games. How much stock should we really be putting into that? Because he just knows how to go into these games and get through.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should. I know it's a different competition, but at the same time, it teaches as a coach, you learn so much about how to deal under pressure, how to analyze other teams, how to play tournament style games. I think he's actually a very underrated coach, in my opinion. I think he's done a great job at Villarreal, and I expect him to, do a great job today. I don't know if they're going to win, but I'm expecting, like I said, it's going to be it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some strange results since that 1-1. They smash Espanyol 5-1. They lose to Osasuna 1-0, and they just get by Celta Vigo at the weekend. They're 7th in La Liga at the moment. But a concern here for me is their away form. Just 14 points from 13 games, and now they go into Italy against a team that's unbeaten in 12. They haven't lost at home in the year. 5 wins, 2 draws. I'm really leaning towards Juventus, but very difficult to pick out a winner here. I mentioned that Atletico Madrid and United should have gone to penalties. At least I thought that's where that game was going. And if it stayed 0-0, or if obviously Manchester United scored, I think it would have gone that way. I think this has the recipe to go all the way here.
Yeah, and I mean, look at what Villarreal does in penalties. I think that would actually play to their advantage. But yeah, I don't know. It's also tricky right now. Villarreal haven't been looking as consistent as Juve. They also don't have players right now like Alberto Moreno, Paco Alcácer. But also, I'm hearing that Gerard Moreno might not be here for this game, and I think that's going to be a big knock for them. I think they're saying for Juve, Dybala is going to be back. So that's, a good leg to lean on in case they want to sub him out in the front for, Morata. But yeah, I think right now there's more against Villarreal. But like we said with tournaments, there's something inside of me that is saying this game is going to come down to the wire. And I am not picking a winner for this game. I'm just hoping for some class football.
What about Juve? I mean, they've been eliminated from 4 of the last 5 knockout ties in the Champions League. And there's a lot of the same players on this team that have been through that. You think of Chiellini, you think of Chesney, you think of Bonucci. Dybala has been there for quite some time, Morata as well. Is that going to play into their thinking? Is that a type of pressure for Juve heading into this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure for the players, it's obviously extremely frustrating, especially with the same pack kind of going through these years. And then every year they're like, guys, again, I absolutely think it should be.
Sorry, that was my phone. Very unprofessional of me. Go ahead, sir. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Where are we going from?
Oh, man. All you heard was a yo Bert, eh? I don't know what
Something,
that means. If that's a good sign for Villarreal or Juventus, but something's happening. I'm so
something's
sorry to cut you
happening.
off, but you think this is going all the way?
Yeah, I could see this going all the way easily. I think Juve has been winning more games, but I still
Yeah.
don't see Juve as a very consistent team, and they have constantly players injuries, new players coming in, so they don't even have that like starting 11 constantly that they're relying on either. And yeah, I think it'll come down to Unai Emery and how he approaches this game.
Yeah, so Moreno for Villarreal, he might not play. He didn't play in the first leg.
Mhm.
Kalini and Dybala are apparently going to feature at in some sort of capacity for Juventus, whether that's off the bench or starting, maybe play 60 minutes. I'm not sure, but that's something definitely to keep an eye on. They've been good even without those players. Juventus, Morata, how about him? He's scoring some goals. He seems to be enjoying this front two partnership with Vlahovic. 3 goals in his last two, and he's also on penalties. So I think if you want to take a punt on someone to score, maybe Morata. But I'm with you. I'm going to stay away from the winners market. But if you do want to back one team, I'm going to lean slightly towards Juventus. You can just take them straight up, even money if you want to juice it up. Maybe Juve plus the under 3.5 goals at plus 165, or just go with the under 2.5. This looks like a 1-0, 1-1, or the draw plus 225. I'm not giving you a lot there. I'm not convinced that this game can be picked within the first 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree. All I had for this game was I'm expecting both teams to score, but for the sprinkle, go Morata, anytime goal scorer. We talked about it. And as
Yeah.
if I know this guy as a player, as a Spanish footballer, he feeds off of confidence. When he's playing well and the fans are appreciating him, he thrives.
And he plays really well next to another striker because I think that takes a little bit of pressure off him, creates a lot more space for him as
Mhm.
well. Vlahovic, he's a handful. So Morata's
Yeah.
going to find those pockets in and around the defense. All right, to the next game. Lille at home to Chelsea, plus 310. Chelsea minus 110. Chelsea won the first leg 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. Havertz, Pulisic with 2 goals. It was a strange game because, you read reports and you think that Chelsea just dominated, which they didn't. If you really watch the game, Lille outshot them 15-9. They just really struggle to find the back of the net. They have to overcome a 2-0 deficit, which is big against this
Mhm.
Chelsea team. I know Chelsea's been having, a lot of issues off the field, but really it hasn't been affecting their performances on it. I mean, they've done so well recently. If you think about even that game against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, I know that was before, but they tend to stay in games, and they've won what, four out of their last 5 games. It's going to be difficult for Lille, but I'm not going to count them out.
Yeah, I think Lille at home is also like a great team. They've done so well at home, and I think we can consider that Chelsea are off the pitch going through a lot right now. So it could play into the way they play. That being said, I actually think Chelsea might do better because I think they might want to really prove that they're all about the football. This is what their focus is on. Whether, like, Tuchel said, are they going by a plane, a train, a bus to Lille? They, I think, really want to prove to the world that right now this is what their focus is on. And I found this crazy stat. Tuchel's had 77 games with Chelsea. 42 of them have been clean sheets.
Wow.
This is, like they're just, I think, an overall better team. And like you said, a 2-0 deficit for Lille. Don't get me wrong, Lille is a great side, but that's tough to come back for any team to not only score two, but then to score another to win while keeping Chelsea, off the score sheet. I don't know.
Yeah, Lille's been pretty good too. 5 clean sheets in a row, and they're in the league. 3 of those coming at home, but scoring seems to be a little bit of an issue. They have 7 in their last 8, but 4 of those came in one game. I mean, you can look at that 2 different ways. That if they get chances to score, they can score them. But the rest of those games, they're not hitting the back of the net, and I think that's a real issue for Lille. I think this game, as much as I want to, give a little bit of an edge to Lille in terms of being at home, and they have to go for the game, so the goals might come that way. I think it really plays into Chelsea's hands at the same time because now they can sit back and hit them on the counter.
Mhm.
Chelsea tend to struggle to break down teams that sit back, as we saw at Crystal Palace when they drew there. They
Mhm.
really have a tough time getting in behind those defenses. When a team is coming at them, there's going to be spaces for players like maybe Timo Werner, Christian Pulisic, Kai Havertz to go through, and Mason Mount to break through and find those spaces on the counterattack. I'm not sure if they win this game or this game finishes maybe 1-0 Lille or 1-1, but I think you can probably confidently back Chelsea to potentially get a result here.
Yeah, I have chosen Chelsea to get the result here. I just think, like I said, the combination of just being, a slightly better side and also having 2 goals already behind them. But I am taking Chelsea to win with both teams to score because I think Lille are going to come out swinging, and I expect them to at least put one in the back of the net.
Jonathan David, hopefully for us Canadians. I wanted to touch on the second leg matches from last season's Champions League for Chelsea. They obviously won last year. In the second leg against Atletico Madrid, they beat them 2-0 after winning 1-0 in the first leg. Porto, they beat Porto in the first leg 2-0. They lost 1-0, went through on aggregate. And then against Real Madrid, 1-1 in the first leg, 2-0 in the second leg. So they either win these second legs or they keep it tight. I think those are two things you need to keep in mind. I have 2 bets here. Under 2.5. It's at -140. It opened at like -110. So if you can get it much lower than that, I think it's definitely worth a shout. If you want to back Chelsea and you want to juice it up just a little bit more, Chelsea plus under 3.5 is at +150. They should go through. I mean, relatively healthy as well. A Chelsea team that's healthy. We have to remember the reigning champions of the Champions League for a reason.
Yeah, no, actually, the under 2.5. I found another stat about Tuchel playing with Chelsea in the UCL. So in 12 of the last 15, with Tuchel being at Chelsea in only UCL games, it's been under 2.5. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean the stats speak for themselves.
So back the unders in these games. Hopefully, I mean, we can throw all the stats we want at you. For some reason, when it comes to the Champions League, we get it completely wrong. So expect Lille, Villarreal to all win by 4 or 5 goals. Let's move on to the Premier League. We've got some big matches, starting with Brighton at home plus 245 against Spurs plus 120. The draw is plus 220. Man, I come on this show week in and week out, and I back Spurs. I'm like, Spurs can win these games, even against United, because they show that they can be a really good team. But then you look at their form since the Manchester City win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. So if you go based on this pattern, they're expected to win this game. But I just don't trust them, Sarah.
Yeah, I know. I picked them, and then you started giving me the business for it. But I'm also comparing.
No, you picked them. I gave you the eyes emoji, which is like, are you sure you want to do this? I've been down this road for years.
This could all be wrong. No, but listen, Tottenham we've spoken about it week in and week out. They're so inconsistent. But Brighton are consistent at losing. They have been terrible lately, and they have, out of their last 5 games, they've lost all 5. And they've scored once in 5 games. Like they're, in my opinion, they're just a poor side. Like Tottenham don't look great either, but I just think this team is just really not clicking right now. Really struggling.
Yeah. And Brighton's home form really poor as well. 1 win in 11. Their last win coming February 2nd against Brentford. Beaten by 2 or more in the last 5 games, or 5 times in the last 7. They can't seem to score bottom 3, as you mentioned, in goals for. And one of the big reasons that they've been losing these games is they've been without Adam Webster, who is in the heart of their defense. Hasn't played since the United loss, which was February 15th. 4 straight losses since then. I mean, this is a guy who's being potentially picked for an England call-up. He's been so important to this team, and without him, we've just seen what's happening. Like, look at these results. 2-0 to United, 3-0 to Brighton at home. Brighton was at home. 2-0 to Villa, 2-1 to Newcastle, and then last weekend, losing 2-0 to Liverpool. Spurs should win this game. I know their form has been up and down, but one thing they can do is score goals. They put 3 against City, 4 against Leeds, 5 against Everton, 2 against United. I mean, when it comes to them winning the game, that's a bit more difficult to predict, but they can definitely score goals. So maybe that's an angle we should attack.
Yeah, no, there's such a bizarre side right now. Like you said, like whether they're winning or they're losing, they're still scoring. Yeah. But yeah, it's every other week. You don't know what you're going to get. Is it going to be the Spurs side that, crushed Everton, or is it going to be the Spurs side that, lost to United? I have no idea. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to take Spurs to win. And if they lose, I'm never going to pick them for anything again. Mark my words.
I'm already at that point, but we shouldn't underestimate it. This is a very important matchup for Spurs. They want to try and make up the ground again to the top 4. I mean, they're 6 points out of the top. Conte actually has some new quotes. I mean, every week I do Conte quotes. I feel I need to get his accent down so it sounds a bit similar. But this is what he said on the top 4. He goes, "This is the moment I have to ask a lot from my big players. To Harry, Hugo, and Sonny, these players have to lead the situation to keep us up until the end." So he's putting a lot of pressure on the big players, but I think the pressure was already there because I think Kane and Son, they know that they have to get the goals for this team, because if they're not scoring, no one else really is. If it's not them, they're not scoring. And I like Harry Kane. I think my only bet for this game, even though I do think Spurs will win, I'm not going to back them because they've killed me so many times. Harry Kane to score plus 140. He's got 7 in 10 against Brighton.
Yeah, you like those odds. I mean, like if anyone's
Plus
going to
140,
score,
not bad.
yeah, exactly. If anyone's going to score, it's going to be him. I mean, I'd probably expect to see a few others on the scoreboard, but then again, with Spurs, like we said, nothing is certain. So I'd probably say that's your best bet right now. Even though I'm taking them to win, I'd say Harry Kane scoring is a safer bet.
Yeah, I should say they beat Brighton recently 3-1, so they do have the edge of them head to head. All right, to the final game, the big one. This is a massive matchup. Arsenal at home at the Emirates to Liverpool. Arsenal plus 290. Not bad value there, considering how well Arsenal have been playing. Liverpool minus 110. The draws at plus 260. I'm not sure where to go here. I mean, I think there's value on Arsenal because they're close to 3-1. I think that's worth a sprinkle at home. But Liverpool, I mean, they just get the job done, and they've been so good. 13 wins, 1 loss in 14. And they seem to have Arsenal's number as well. 4 wins, 1 draw in their last 5. I mean, how do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, this one is it's gonna be tight. I think it's gonna be like very intense. But I also stayed away from a winner for this one because this is, I don't know, something inside of me. I even spoke to a couple of Liverpool fans and they're saying, nah, I'm not feeling confident about this at all. Arsenal has been in amazing form lately. Mikel Arteta has taken this young team and just turned them around. They are performing. They are doing so well. And it's not to say that Liverpool isn't. Liverpool, they've been great for, how long now. But I expect this to be very close, especially playing at the Emirates. Arsenal fans are going to be doing everything they can to piss off the Liverpool players because this is really an important game for Arsenal as well because they're
Yeah.
only right now, I think, 2 points ahead of Man United in fourth, but Man United has a couple games in hand on them. But right now, like you said, the fight for fourth is tough. So every game matters right now, especially the big games.
And for some reason, as good as Arsenal have been, 5 wins in a row, like you mentioned, look at the wins. I mean, they beat Wolverhampton twice. They beat Brentford, Watford, and Leicester City. But they struggle in big games. They've lost all 5 of the league meetings against teams in the top 5. I mean, if you look back on that, it was, Arsenal were in much different form to what they are now. But I just think Liverpool are just too good at the moment, and they get results. I mean, they weren't at their best against Brighton. They won that game. They weren't at their best in both matches against Inter Milan in the Champions League, and they got through. And they have pretty much a fully fit squad, so tiredness and rotation. I mean, there's not going to be much of a risk there for anything. You still have Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Jota seems to like scoring goals against Arsenal. So I'm going to lean towards Liverpool. If I'm picking straight up, this is a pick 'em for me. But I think Liverpool, if you can get them closer to even money, I know they're in and around minus 110. If you get plus odds anywhere, I would say throw some cash on that. But very difficult tie to predict. But Liverpool understand that this is their opportunity. They win this game and they win their next one. They can be 2 up on Manchester City before City even play the next game. That's how important this matchup is. I mean, I think City going into their next matchup, I believe it's against Watford, down 2 points to Liverpool puts a different type of pressure on them. And I think Liverpool understand that.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I think what Arsenal needs to do is look at that game against Inter because no one thought Inter was going to beat Liverpool at Anfield, and they did. And what this game did, even though Liverpool went through, is it showed some of their weaknesses, as did the game that they went to penalties in the Carabao Cup versus Chelsea. Liverpool had no business winning that game. They were very lucky to go through. Chelsea was absolutely the better side. But I think
agree.
what Arsenal needs to do is, we look at these teams like Liverpool. They are so, powerful. They have players. They're fantastic. But sometimes we get a little glimpse of what it's like for them to, have a weak moment, and Arsenal need to focus on this and pinpoint what went wrong there because they did show a little bit of weakness. And I do think Liverpool's the better side still, but they've recently showed a little bit of, something was going wrong there. And I think if Arsenal can capitalize that, we could see a very interesting game.
Yeah, really interesting matchup. I think Arsenal, if they go north of 3-1, I think they're worth a sprinkle at home. Very good team. Lacazette, Saka looks fantastic. Odegaard, everyone, when you have a team like that who's completely clicking, all in form, they can win these games and create upsets. So I think it's worth a sprinkle, but my money would be on Liverpool. Try and get it closer to plus money. If not, the minus 110, you got to lay the 10. Not a big deal. All right, that's it for us at Fast Money Football, guys. Please make sure you follow Sara Poraria at Sara Poraria on Twitter. Follow me at TheRealBirdV on Twitter as well. And make sure you head over to parlay.tv for more parlay content. Good luck, guys.